First question of the night comes down to your favorite football movie. If it is not, Remember the Titans. You have to explain to me why it isn't.
My favorite football movie is
yeah.
not Remember the Titans.
Really? Okay, what is it?
So the greatest football movie.
Okay.
The Program. I don't know if you've seen it.
I've never heard of that. Is that like a B movie?
No, it's not a B
Does
movie.
it have
it was like,
actors that we know?
Yeah, but I don't know their name.
Okay.
You'd have to watch it. But
Okay.
It's based off a college program, and it's the most realistic football movie as far as football. You get a lot of football movies that are really like Blue 52. Like no one says Blue 52. It just sounds cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the most realistic football movie, and it goes through basically this coaching staff and this entire program, and they got a Heisman candidate, and the pressure's getting to him, and he's it's really messing with him, and it's just a really cool. It's a very realistic movie, and there's a part in that movie. So when it first came out, and Joe Kane is the quarterback, and he's always having to test himself to keep the edge, right? That's his deal. He's always got to, like, he stands in front of trains and jumps out speaking of trains.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But in the movie, he actually lay down in the middle of a freeway.
Oh, wow.
And so when it came out in the movie theaters, of course, people were doing that. And what happens when you lay in the middle of a freeway is people get. So they had to actually pull that part out of the movie. So I actually saw it when it was actually
like
in the
pre-cuts.
before they took that out. But yeah, that's the greatest. I'll argue with anybody about the Program being the greatest. Tonight, you go watch it.
I will. I will. Do you think that he did it actually for the movie, or do you think that it was just like a raw cut? Because
it was probably.
How old is this movie?
It's probably late 90s.
Okay.
Yeah, mid 90s, late 90s maybe.
So they probably cleared the road.
Yeah, they probably just said, "Hey, don't run them over."
Yeah, there's gonna be a guy here.
Yeah, what do they call it, CGI or whatever?
Yeah, not.
It wasn't as high tech as it is now.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the podcast. Today we have Coach Cale Sanders with us once again, and coming off of the game against Volcano Vista on the road and preparing for the game against Clovis on the road as well. Is there anything better for a team early in the season than an overnight road game?
Ooh, that's a double-edged sword, I think.
Okay.
We took it as an opportunity to get our young ones on the road, and we treated it like a playoff game. And like I said, we talked about it, and we traveled really well. It was a lesson in adversity, though. We got about 10 miles outside of town or outside of our TJ, had some bus troubles.
Oh.
It is what it is, right?
Sure.
Nothing, it just happened, right? So we had to switch some buses, and we were late getting into Albuquerque, and I mean, we probably didn't get in the rooms and checked in until almost midnight.
Oh, wow.
So it does a little bit of adversity.
Yeah.
And then we got up early, and we breakfasted, and we met, and then we went. And so I think our kids traveled really well. I don't think it wasn't anything that hurt us.
Sure.
Like I said, if we're going to go on the road and have to play a playoff game, what a better way to practice that?
Yeah.
Except for the third week, So I enjoyed it. I think the kids did well.
Yeah. Well, let's see. We're going to go into Volcano Vista. We lost 28-7, but going into the half, it was 7-0. So how did you hold back the Volcano senior loaded offense?
Yeah, it should have been 7-3 us, to be brutally honest, right? So we stop them down there. They drive. They get to about 15 or so. They line up to kick a field goal. We jump off sides twice. Give them a 4th and 1. They go for it. They actually end up scoring that drive. Makes it 7-0. Silly mistakes, right? Silly special teams, sophomore mistakes. Gave them the chance to score, right? So I give them that. I give them that 3. But we get the ball. We're on the 1, and we don't punch it in.
Wow.
To be honest, like we should, if we'd punched that in and they held them to 3, it's 7-3 at half. It's a whole nother ball game. But
yeah.
I was super proud of our guys. Our defense played out of their mind. They did really well. And I told the kids this too, and I'm not ashamed of it. But the offense, that's all on us. That was a complete offensively driven loss. If you ever understand what I'm saying.
Sure,
so
yeah,
we didn't keep them off the field. We didn't drive. We didn't get points. We didn't do anything we wanted to do. And it touched some of that to Volcano's defense. They were solid. Yeah. They were absolutely solid. But some of that was, watching the film, I just want to kick myself because there's just one guy here, one guy there, silly mistakes, silly mistakes. It kind of makes me mad when I sit here and think about it.
Sure.
But it's a lot of assignment football that was missed. So yeah,
So it was more mental than anything.
I would say so. I mean, granted, there was some physical stuff there went on. You know, they had some dudes, but more of that silly mistakes. So, what we did good was we didn't have the penalties that we had in the past that put us behind the chains, which I'm glad because it was hard enough without it. But they did. We had 2 penalties offensively, and they were both holding penalties, which they were legit holding penalties. You know, but our offense just stalled and sputtered, and we could never get it going. Schematically, you know, we knew what they were going to do. We knew they were going to give us that crazy, you know, Lobo 3 down stack look and bring heat all over the place. And that's what they did. And, you know, we were ready for it. We just didn't execute, honestly.
Sure.
You know, we had open receivers, and, you know, Cason didn't have the best day of his life. You know, he was 3 for 15. So when he did throw a good ball, we dropped it. And when we, you know, would throw a good ball, or when we went wide open, we'd shoe shine him with it. So it just wasn't a good day across the board, but I'm super proud of that defense. Our defense, they kept us in that football game. But coming out of half, we get the ball. We're 3 and out. They get the ball, 10, 12 play drive score.
Sure.
They kick it back off to us. We 3 and out again. They go another. I mean, you can't. They're tired. Like, we just can't do that offensively. We got to do our part. Got to help them out.
It looks like you had to deal with a solid QB from Volcano.
Yeah.
It showed that he threw 122 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. What is your approach with a guy like that?
You know, just to contain him, right? Bend to no break. You know, bottle him up. And honestly, the 2 that he got there towards the end were just kind of fluky type deals and some play action stuff. They were to the point at that point they were just trying to kill clock, and that their running back was the guy.
Okay.
That number 3, he was a tough runner. They ran inside zone on us, you know, and they would chunk up 7-8 yards a pop. You know, especially when our kids got tired and we were in a 20 plays, you know, into a drive, and that third quarter really got us. But so that quarterback, he was good though. So they just picked and choose when they were going to use him. Yeah,
because like you said, their number 3, he had 216 yards rushing. What made him so effective?
The 6'7", 230, 250
the guys he was
offensive
running
line. Yeah, because I mean, there was a times that I looked over to one of the coaches and I looked out there, and I was like, this is literally David versus Goliath. Like they were just towering over our kids, and our kids were just scrapping and fighting. And but yeah, they were some men like that number 44, the middle linebacker. He was warming up for the game, and I was like, he's not nice.
This isn't real, right?
Yeah, he was huge, but
that's crazy.
You know, and our kids didn't shy away from it, right? They put their pants on just like we do. But yeah, it was that O-line was solid.
Yeah. According to Max Preps, Bubba Anderson had the most total tackles with 16, followed by Simon Rubio and Braden Pearson at 10. How do these players stand out on defense?
Well, Bubba's awesome. I love Bubba. I just don't want Bubba leading the team in tackles because he's a safety. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you don't want your safety
Last
leading.
resort.
Yeah, you don't want them, but you want, you know, the backers and Rubio. And Rubio, a sophomore, hasn't got a lot of playing time this year. You know, he's kind of came in and out sparingly, but he played a lot Saturday and he did really good. You know, he stuck his nose in there. And like I said, Bubba's been battling a shoulder injury all year. He's just fighting. You can't keep him off the field. He's just that kid that he might not have the best talent in the world, which he's talented, but he's not, you know, a blue chipper, you know, but he's going to do everything right. He's going to show up and he's going to freaking get it done for you. And we can win with those kind of kids.
Sure. Yeah, and it shows that you had 18 different players with at least 1 tackle on Saturday.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Well, it means to me when I see that, it means that we're not, you know, it's almost a flip-flop of offense. Offense, we have like 11 guys and they go. You know, defense, they're shuttling guys in and out. And, you know, so that to me, that's really good because a lot of those guys are young. So the more reps and experience we can get with those guys is great.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's everyone's contributing. You know, Coach Weiner's done a really good job of – he really did a really good job preparing. Some of that stuff was just, you know, we made, you know, missed tackles and, you know, we missed a couple of assignments on the little boots and you know, their tight end got one cheap on us. But, you know, I think for the most part our kids did really, really good. I told them at half, I'm super proud of you guys. Let's go back out second half. Let's shock the state because no one expects – little Carlsbad to go out there and compete with the number 3 team in the state. Everyone expected a freaking blowout. And that's not, I mean, Volcano knew that they had their hands full at halftime. So.
Yeah, it was a respectable score for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
What kinds of things do you stress for post-game recovery with all these guys getting, playing time? We talk about Mendoza carrying the load offensively in the rushing game. There's a lot of guys being used a lot on both sides.
Yep.
What do you stress the most?
So,
or what are a few things?
So instantly, like if a football rise, it's you're going to live with the trainers. You're going to ice bath. So we have mandatory ice baths for guys, mandatory treatment. Of course, those guys and Derek and Luke they're awesome.
Yeah,
they take care of our guys. They're always there, whenever we need them. They do a really good job of taking care of our kids. But for the other part of that is, I stress this all the time, is, I want you to go home and go to bed, get your rest. And I always tell them, fluids and carbs, right? Get your rest, fluid and carbs, and take care of yourself with a trainer. You're going to be okay. But a lot of that comes down to what did you do from March till now? And I think the railroad ties, going back to the railroad ties, I mean, that's kind of, you kind of build that armor for the season, and that's part of it.
Yeah. All right, it's Clovis week. They are 0-3. So how do you keep your team from this is an easy win mindset?
Yeah, it's an 0-3 against Canyon and Randall,
Okay,
two
fair.
5A, 6A, Texas football teams that are solid. So yeah, it's not a walk in the park, and our guys know that, and we iterated that today in our meeting. Is listen, 0-3, but they're very capable of wiping the floor with you if you don't show up. And, we just keep that mindset. And I like to kind of keep the lid on our kids too. Everyone's going to beat you. You're not ugly. I mean, you're not pretty, you're ugly, you're not fast, all that stuff. But, so going into this week though, looking at it, Clovis is, they're going to be better than they were last year. Coach McGraw over there, he's got 2 years under his belt with that triple option. So those guys kind of starting to get it. They try to understand it. He's got some kids over there that are they pass the eye test. They got some big old linemen. They got some skill guys that are really good. They're a lot like Goddard though. The numbers, they don't have huge numbers, so they got a bunch of kids going both ways. So if we can do what Volcano did to us and keep the offense on the field and drive a little bit and get some of the lungs and legs out of those kids, it'll help us. But yeah, so it's going to be a good fight. If we don't show up, we're going to get in trouble. We're not that good. We can just have an off day and win. So we're going to have to bring our A game every time we step on the field.
What can we expect from Clovis, a team that hasn't had a game within 26 points of their opponent yet? I know you said that the teams that they've played have been really good.
Yeah.
But what are we looking at?
They're going to come and fight you. I think they understand their schedule, and they understand that they did the same thing last year. I think they ended up being 0-5 going into district and actually made the playoffs because their district was Los Lunas.
And they aren't in our district
anymore. No, I think they're in I want to say Capital and Los Alamos. So basically their district championship comes down to whenever they play Los Alamos. And Los Alamos is solid this year. But yeah, so they're gonna be in the playoffs because they'll be probably number 2 in their district. So those kind of kids kind of know that. Very similar to Lovington. They have a really beefed up first 5 games, and then they kind of roll through their district.
Sure.
And so it's to be expected. I think that schedule was there before Coach McCraw got there. So he's just kind of having to live with it. But that'll be changed up. But yeah, they're going to come and they're going to actually they're going to be at home. So
yeah.
And they got a brand new turf. They got the flashing lights. So. They're going to show up for their home games. But yeah, they'll be ready to rock and roll. They kind of get it. They understand. But they're going to be better than they were last year.
If you could pick one thing for your team to improve on week to week, just without doubt, what would you say that would be?
Good question. Well, I go day by day, honestly. Is I tell those kids to stack a brick every day because it's a big house and it's a lot of bricks. And I just honestly just get better at your trade, right? So we've 2 platooned, right? We got offensive guys, we got defensive guys. We're super shallow, but get better. So I don't want to waste time with a bunch of guys that are wideouts half the practice server, they're standing there watching the DBs. You know, so we get to spend the whole day working on your skill. So I think that's going to help us out long-term wise. You know, we might not see the fruits of that until next year or the next year after that. But, you know, so my deal is just get better every day. Just get better, whatever that is. If it's run a better route or better stance, or, you know, with our offensive linemen, you know, we had a good little heart-to-heart today. They came in early, and it was Coach Sanders and the O-line, and we watched film. I told them, check your feelings at the door, fellas, because we're going to get this straight, because as they go, we go. And they didn't have a very good game. So, you know, little things. Like just that's what they don't understand is the little stuff, especially in football, means the world, right? Especially on the O-line. It's not like, go get this guy. It's take my first step, which puts everything else in the right position. Or punch with my left hand, not my right hand. Or there's just so many little bitty, miney things that no one really gets unless you're in the field house or you've played. That, you know, all those little bitty minutia things that have to be perfect for something to work. And we're learning. So they're getting there. The effort and the want to is there. So we're okay there. Those kids never quit Saturday. You know, even when it kind of got to the point where it was like, you know, 28-0, and I'm like, keep fighting, and we did, and you saw the result there at the end.
Absolutely. What is the itinerary looking like for Clovis? It's not an overnight trip.
Yeah, thank gosh.
You know, but it's a 3-hour
drive.
A haul.
It's still a haul. Yeah, so we'll probably get out at lunch and leave and get over there, get a little pregame meal right before we get out of town, carb them up.
Sure.
And get there and hopefully I don't like to sit around. I don't like to get there too early. I'd rather just get off the bus, roll the ball out, and let's play football. So we try not to have a lot of time where we're sitting around. I know some people, they show up 2 hours early or 3 hours early, and they're sitting around, and I don't want that. I don't want those kids thinking about it. Let's just get off the bus and roll the ball out and play football. So that's kind of our, you know, mentality when it comes to travel is, you know, we take care of business and just get there and let's go.
We got to have a working bus, right?
Yeah. Well, that helps. That helps. But
sure.
Yeah, you know, it is what it is. I understand. So
yeah. All right. So last question for you. This one a little bit off of what our norm is, I guess. Biggest pet peeve in football?
Oh.
If one at all.
I got several, and it's actually to deal with coaches. It's football etiquette.
Okay.
Nothing gets me more mad than a coach that doesn't understand or respect the game. And what I mean by that is a guy that's beating you 42-6 that throws a double reverse pass with 2 minutes left in the game.
Right. They're working on something a little tricky.
That's not respecting the game. That's not respecting your opponent. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. You know, and there's a lot of stuff that you can do, you know, those unwritten with baseball, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it's unwritten rules, you know, like. But if you're beating me, beat me. You know, if you're running the ball up my throat and rocking and rolling and I can't stop it, that's fine. But don't do no tricky, you know, double reverse pass or onside kick it or call timeout with 32 seconds. You know, the little stuff like that. That's my biggest pet peeve. And that's probably where my mouth gets me in trouble sometimes because I usually let them know that's Bush League. You know, like you don't need to be doing that. Respect your kids. If you can't respect the game, you probably shouldn't be coaching the kids the game. And that's my biggest pet peeve is. So some of these coaches don't know, you know, so they need to be a little more, you know.
Educated maybe.
Yeah, educated, and then maybe we need to be a little bit more specific on who we get coaching license to. But, But, yeah, that's probably one of my biggest pet peeves is because sometime at one point in time, you're not going to be good.
Yeah.
You're going to be on the other side of that fence.
Yep.
And I've been on both sides. And, yeah, it's karma.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's my pet peeve.
Thank you, Coach.
Absolutely,
appreciate it. Very good luck to you and the boys against Clovis on the road.
Yeah, it should be good. We'll be all right.